Welcome back to the 31305 podcast. This is our Jordan episode 23. As
Yes,
always, I'm
sir.
Alex, brought to you by a recently hacked Taylor who was compromised in his accounts, but he's all good now and are able to record.
Yes, sir. Someone wanted to spend $1,000 on my Instacart account today. I said no, no, no. Got that shut
Thank,
down real quick. But yeah,
thank goodness for
thank
that.
God.
Less than
Someone
one.
wasn't trying to buy like 4 things of AirPods from BJ's, but not today, broke boy.
Yep. Imagine trying to buy a finals ticket. That would have been really price in the wallet. $1,000 to get into game one or game two for Denver.
Yeah, well, speaking of the finals, I know you had a great weekend with the Heat winning, with Los Gatos not winning, but they played tonight. Um,
Hmm.
I got to see Eddie Rosario hit a grand slam in the ninth
You
inning
were
with 2 outs
there.
yesterday. Yeah, so that was fun. I got to
Teach
see
the run.
Spencer Strider demolish our team on Saturday. It was not a great weekend to be a D-backs fan. That one hurt yesterday. Eddie Rosario up top of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded. We're up by one, and just
Hmm.
tips it gone.
Corks one.
Immediately leaves.
Your bullpen is just not great.
Oh,
And the pitch was
it's
set up so outside,
bad.
and then it just floated to the
He threw
middle.
it. He threw a fucking meatball down the middle. 96-mile-an-hour sinker, dead middle, just
Yep.
gone. But yeah,
It's
miserable weekend. But hey, it's a new week.
it's a new week, and I'll tell you, I did not have the same experience. For game one of the finals, I actually went down to Miami. They had a watch party at the American, or I want to say American, it's the Kaseya Center now. To watch
What?
game one. Yeah,
They've
Kaseya
had
is a local
three different
company,
names. It was well, I guess they stopped the FTX arena because of the
and then it
whole
was Miami-Dade
yeah.
Arena, and now it's its future name, Kaseya. So I went to game one, watched it there. It was actually a cool experience. They had like the sound effects. They were chanting like defense, like the dancers. They did t-shirt toss. So it was actually really cool to go for $10.
Oh,
But
that's it.
watching
That's
game
not
one,
bad.
yeah, it really wasn't bad. I went for fun. But watching game one was a different story because I felt like I could have hit more threes. I mean, I technically could have than Max Strus, who went 0 for 9 from the 3-point lane. Caleb Martin had one made shot the entire game. And the Heat kind of blew game one, and Denver didn't really look super great in game one either, but they still took it by double digits. What'd you make of game one before we get into game two, which did happen last night?
I thought it was gonna be close. I thought the NBA would want to keep this one. You know, you could say, yeah, they don't script it. They script this shit. Let's be real. They know what they're doing. I thought they would keep game one pretty close to keep the casual fan invested, since we've talked about this isn't like star studded. It's not going to garner a ton of attention. I don't know what has have the viewership like things
It's
come
been
out yet
about
for game one and
consistent,
two.
yeah.
Is it?
It's been consistent with last year's, yeah.
Okay. So that's actually pretty good. I thought it would drop a little bit, but I thought they would keep game one close just to keep the casual fan in it. And I was wrong. Bam Adebayo was probably the best player on the team and took what 25 shots, 20
Yep.
25 shots to score like 25 points.
Hmm.
And even after the game, Denver was Mike Malone said that's fine. Like if he's gonna score 25 on 25 shots, we're taking that all day. Like that's not good, but it's also like not
Yeah.
sustainable either. So Denver got the first game. They looked really good. Jokic, Murray, that team is just solid. It didn't really ever seem like it was as close as the final score said. It kind of seemed like they should have ran away with that by like 20 to 25, but Miami's defense and overall coaching, how they're coached and leadership, and I feel like they're never really going to get out. No game is really going to get out of hand with them. They'll be able to keep it relatively respectful throughout, but I felt like that one should have been a lot more lopsided than it was. But shout out Miami for staying in it.
Yeah, they brought it down to I think 7 or 8 in the fourth quarter after they were down 23 at some point in the second half. So I mean, like you said, Miami's never out of it. I mean, Bam literally kept them in the game because Duncan Robinson did have a great game. Lowry actually made a lot of clutch threes in that game too, but just no one on offense was really clicking. Even Jimmy, he had a decent game, but not a crazy one. But the crazy thing was like Denver didn't also make a lot of threes that game. Like it was just Jokic and Murray and an all around effort. Like I mean, Aaron Gordon in the first quarter had 12 points. You know, Michael Porter Jr. was knocking down everything. So I mean, game one credit to Denver because they played well. But game two, different story, different kind of run. The Heat gave Denver its first home loss this playoffs. They stole home court advantage last night. I mean, the Denver Nuggets went on a 40-14 run at one point during this game and still lost. Like they got contributions. Like Max Strus came out blazing hot after his stinker in game one. He had 12 points in the first quarter. Robinson went on a 10-0 run himself in the fourth quarter to start it, to bring it from a 14-point deficit down to a 3-point deficit. And I mean, you look at Jimmy Butler, you look at Gabe Vincent. I mean, you talk about a guy that's going to be probably top 15 in point guards, top 20 in point guards, maybe even at this point, because his play has been amazing.
Yeah. Shout out Kevin Love too, who got the start.
Yeah, Kevin, like that. Even Spo admitted after the game he wished he had the foresight to keep Kevin Love starting and just keep bringing Martin off the bench
Yeah.
because he thinks that would have made a big difference in game one. It made it in game two. I mean, he didn't like light up the scoreboard, but he had 10
No,
rebounds,
10
like good
rebounds.
defense.
Yeah.
And they pointed it
Three
out like,
offensive rebounds too, which is big.
yeah, they even pointed out like the biggest thing was it allowed Butler to guard Jamal Murray and it let Love worry about Aaron Gordon. So the size was a little bit more even, which I mean, Denver's still huge because Michael Porter Jr. is small forward at 6'10,
Yeah.
you know, so they're still a tall team. But would you make a game two? You still like your Denver in five prediction?
I don't like it as much. I still like Denver to win the series, but yeah, like you said, Kevin Love coming in starting, I think was huge for him. Played 22 minutes, hit 2 threes, 10 rebounds, 6 points. He was plus 18 too, which was the second best on the team. So when he was out there, they were doing good. I think Gabe Vincent was plus 22, and he was the leader. Jimmy Butler was only plus 3, which was a little weird, but 21 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, played well. I don't know what happened to Denver. Jokic has to stop scoring 40 points apparently because they are now 0-3 in the playoffs when Jokic scores 40 points. He had 41, 11 rebounds, only 4 assists. This team did not shoot well. Michael Porter Jr. only had 5 points, 1 of 6 from 3. Aaron Gordon only took 7 shots. Jokic took 28, so I mean that's probably why his assist numbers are down a bit.
Yeah.
But Jamal Murray only had 18, shooting 7 for 15 from the field. They did get I guess decent contributions from the bench, even though they only went 3 deep on the bench. Christian Braun went for 6. Bruce Brown went for 11. They have JaMychal Green, right? Is it JaMychal?
No, you are talking about
Jeff
Green that
Jeff Green.
Jeff Green that used to play for Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, JaMychal, Jeff, same guy. I think he had like 11. So I mean, their bench like almost 30 points off the bench, but the starters just didn't do anything. They were the entire bench was positive, plus 12, plus 14, plus 8. The entire starting lineup was negative, with Jokic going negative 11, Porter was negative 15. It wasn't a good showing from Denver. I don't know what happened. Maybe the Kevin Love, the whole defense, the size that you were talking about factored into it, which I definitely think it did. But I don't know. This hasn't been like a Denver team that's been like caught slipping at home during the playoffs. So is this like a one-off, or is this Miami's got something going here?
I think it was like the same as game one, but the shots were going in from three for Miami. Like
Yeah.
nothing major happened besides the starting lineup change. Like they didn't really change their theory. Even Spoelstra said like that question is stupid, trying to make Jokic more of a scorer than a passer. They just like he's going to get his own. They
He's
just
gonna
couldn't
do
stop him
everything.
offensively. I think they just did a good job of staying with their man that wasn't Jokic. Like they rotated people on him. They tried Ban, they tried Zeller, which I don't know why he's still playing. They tried Jimmy. They even tried some Kevin Love. So I think it was just Jokic had a. I mean, some of the shots he was making was also crazy. Like he dribbled the ball from half court, like got bumped and still hit like a random shot over his head that went in. Like some of the shots he was making were just absurd. Um, but I think overall, it's just Spo again has been. Mike Malone's a great coach. Don't get me wrong for Denver, but Spo has been the best coach in the playoffs, and he made adjustments when they were needed during halftime, during the fourth quarter. And the Heat, I saw a stat in the overall playoffs. They're -1 in the first quarter. They're -11 in the second, -23 in the third. They're plus 90 in the fourth quarter. They step up when it matters. So
And that's
they
that's
don't
all
get
coaching
phased.
too.
They don't get phased by a big deficit, like you said. Like they don't care if it's on the road, at home. They think they can win every game. And it showed. And I mean, Joel Murray still had a great shot to tie the game with the buzzer. I was definitely standing and yelling when it clinked off the rim. But I think now it's going back to the crib. It's going back to the 305 for game three on Wednesday. And if the Heat take game three, I mean, you don't know if Tyler Hero's going to come back for game four or game three, but I don't know. I like Miami's chances a lot better that they took a game in Denver.
Do you think they get both of them in Miami?
I think one. I'd say one. I hope for
Okay.
two. I hope for two, but I think realistically one. If they win two, I think the series is over. Like if they win both in Miami,
Oh
like
yeah, if they go up
I
three
don't,
one,
I don't see Miami losing like they did against Boston, even. Like they went 3-0 down. Like I
yeah.
think they have the experience to like not let that happen. And again, Vincent hopefully won't miss a game because of an illness or an injury, whatever it was. Um, so I think game three is important. If Denver wins, they're right back in the series. But if Miami wins, like game four is a must win for Denver at this point.
Oh, for sure. I think they probably split it in Miami just because how good Miami is defensively. We know that in the playoffs that plays, especially at home. I'll give Miami one. I still think Denver wins either game three or game four. I don't know what the odds are because the game's not for another couple days. I'm sure the odds are out, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see Miami. I don't think they'll be favored. I think it'll be Actually, I could just pull it up right now. I don't think
I can
Miami
do
will
it
be
right now.
favored. I do think it's going to be closer than the last few games, though. I think last game they were like plus 300.
Nuggets are 2.5 point favorite, minus 135 on the
Yeah.
money line. So
So
definitely
it's
closer.
close, yeah. So I think both these games could be a toss up. If it goes 1-1, bring it to 2-2 going back to Denver, I think we have a series. I think if Denver wins both of these two games, though,
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's over for Miami
If
for
either team
sure.
does, if
Yeah.
either team steals
Yeah.
it. Yeah. But we will
But
get, of course, get you back with Wednesday's game three action. Any other thoughts you want to add from the first two?
no. I'm interested to see if they start Kevin Love next game. I'm interested to see if Denver does anything different because it's been working what they've been doing. Jokic is elite. They just got beat at home. Maybe it was a one-off. We see what happens. But if Miami beats them at home again, and this is with thinking, they split it going 1-1, they're going to have an issue. They're going to have to figure something out. They're going to go into here thinking that they can win both, but they're happy with one. You got to figure out how to win it at home because that's been their what's the word?
Main, like,
Happy place, I
yeah,
guess. Like they looked pretty shit. So we'll see if it was just a one-off. I'm excited. Game three is what, Wednesday?
Wednesday and then game four is Friday. It's really close turnaround.
Yeah, I hate how they spread it out so long. It's a
It's because
little
of travel.
much.
Because
Yeah.
they
Oh
lose a
yeah. Yeah.
day. They lose a day going to Miami, really, when they gain a
Yeah.
day going back to Denver. So I think that's why.
Yeah. But even like in Denver, it was the game one was what, Wednesday or Thursday, and then
It was
game two was
Thursday. I know, and then game two was Sunday. Yeah, I think they
yeah.
do it to make it so the higher seed has more time in their home city to practice. Whereas in Miami, they're like the lower
Yeah.
seeded team. That's just my theory on it. I don't know.
Yeah. Interested
I
to see
will.
where game three goes.
Yeah, I will say the last two thoughts is Jimmy Butler's plus minus numbers are low because he always shares the court with Cody Zeller, and Cody Zeller has the worst plus
He
minus on the
is
team.
bad, dude.
He
He's
is
getting
so
ran
bad.
over by
On,
Jokic.
on Twitter, every Heat fan is like, "Why is this man touching the court? He's got to have dirt on Spo, on Riley. Like, there's no reason he should be seeing the court. Like,
Yeah,
logistically."
man, that man is getting bullied by everybody.
So Jimmy's plus minus taking a hit because obviously if Bam's on the game, Jimmy's going to be.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
then secondly, I would say the only move Denver can really make because they don't run super deep in their team
No, they don't. They
is
run eight
switching
deep, and that's
Bruce
it.
is either switching Bruce Brown for KCP or Bruce Brown for Michael Porter Jr. That's the only move I could see them doing. Because, like, I think Aaron Gordon's going to stay. I think, obviously, Jokic and Murray don't change much. But
Yeah,
I think they'll take it as we just need to play this team again with our same strategy, and we should be fine. Because I don't think they're going to make it. Like, even the Love start wasn't like a crazy, drastic change.
yeah, and I mean, you're putting in KCP over Bruce Brown for his offensive ability. Bruce Brown is mainly he's a great defender, but I mean, he outscored KCP last game in 10 less minutes. So I'll be
Hmm.
interested to see if they keep KCP in the starting lineup going to game three and four. I wouldn't hate it if they threw in Bruce Brown to just give him a little bit more defense because that team does love to shoot a lot, and if they miss, they're not the best in transition, especially with someone
Yeah.
like Jimmy Butler. You've got shooters on the outside. Bruce Brown might be a solid play to put in.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in game three. I'm excited for it. I won't be going because it's $800. I won't be going. I'll be watching at home.
Oh, that's it? Only 800?
Yeah, only
Are they?
probably half my rent.
Are they doing anything like outside the stadium where you can like come and?
Yeah, you can go by, but like parking near the stadium, even for the Eastern Conference Finals, was $100 to get like for
Holy
parking there.
shit!
So there's not that many great places near the arena because it's surrounded by water essentially.
Yeah,
So and like there's watch parties throughout all the bars,
yeah.
here. So if anything, I go to a bar, but
Well,
I
because I
will
was gonna
not go to.
say, and I know especially in the NHL, it happens a lot where they have they shut down the entire block like outside during the game because people can't get in, and they just
Yeah,
throw it up on TV. But I don't know if that's something that basketball is probably not. I don't
they
know.
have a big TV. They have a big TV outside the arena, but again, just getting to downtown is
Yeah,
also a cluster because so many people. So
yeah,
maybe
that's
not.
fair.
We do have news for your hometown Pistons, who made a splash.
We
They
did.
made the big splash. You
We
talked about it. You
did.
said we have a big money move making. You made it. You got the largest contract for a coach in NBA history. It goes to Monty Williams going to Detroit, going from your technical hometown team to your actual team in Detroit. I don't have the money numbers in front of me. I'm sure you know it. I know it's a 6-year deal.
Yes, six
Um,
years, 70 something million. It comes out to like 12 million a year, just a little bit over pop.
how excited are you? Are you okay? They spent the most money. Do you expect some big free agents now because they're going to want some more veteran established players to be with them?
I mean, I'm absolutely excited that we got Monty Williams. He was better than the candidate Kevin Ollie, who ended up going to.
Brooklyn
He,
as an assistant.
no, he got hired as a head coach, and I can't think of where. Maybe it was an assistant. He did just get hired. He was the odds-on favorite to be the Pistons coach.
The
Um,
Nets. I was right. It's Brooklyn.
oh,
The
was he? He
associate
went.
head
Oh, okay,
coach. Yeah.
okay. But yeah, I'm super happy. You know who's from Detroit and just played on that Phoenix team?
Cam
Devin
Johnson.
Devin
No?
Booker, my friend.
Oh, hush. Getting
Devin
Devin
Booker.
Booker.
Devin Booker is from the 313. He reps Detroit all the time, hats, shirts. I'm just saying. I'm saying, hey, Monty Williams loved coaching Devin Booker. Ah, it's a match made
You're
in
not
heaven.
getting Devin Booker,
I
but,
know,
but
I
move
know.
on.
Hey, pipe dream, pipe dream. I think it's a great
Yeah, but
move. I'm fine making him the most paid coach because if you look at our roster, we don't. It's not like we're paying anyone money. We're gonna have to pay Cade soon, but
hmm
um, you have to pay for good coaching. Like we saw it with Dwayne Casey. He won Coach of the Year, got fired from Toronto after winning Coach of the Year the same year. Goes to Detroit and does absolutely nothing. Um,
yeah.
Literally nothing. Kind of just it's a bad era. But bringing in Monty Williams, probably the best coach in the last 2 or 3 years, at least record wise, he is. Playoff wise, jury's out on that. But
Yeah.
Pistons are not in they're not in the playoff mode yet. So I think this is a good move. Develop these pieces. You have your coach for the future now. He's going to be here 6 years. It's 12 million a year. You've got the pieces with Cade, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren. What the hell am I forgetting? Why can't I?
Your
We have the number
team, James
five.
Wiseman.
Oh hell no. The number 5 pick's gonna be interesting, but the pieces are there. I did not think we were getting Monty Williams. I thought that if we had gotten Wembanyama, maybe he would want to come here, but we were probably going to miss out on the big names just because we don't have the team that's ready to compete yet. And even Monty Williams said that he didn't want to go to Detroit. And I told you last week, I was like, apparently on Twitter they just said they made him a serious offer. You said, "What's a serious offer?" And then an hour later, I texted back saying, "We got him."
That's a
So
serious offer.
that's a serious offer.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I don't know if it's going to be like a next year we make the playoffs type thing. I think it's going to be a couple more years, but getting Cade back from injury, year 2 of Duran and Ivy with Monty Williams, I am hesitantly excited.
I didn't just need to raise the average age on this team. Like you look at the players. I mean, Bagley's 24. Eugene Omoriu, is that how you say his last name?
Who?
Omoriu. He's just one guy that's on the team. He doesn't make much. He doesn't play
I
much.
don't even know who that is.
Who that is?
Spell his name.
Eugene Omorui. He's 97. He's number 97 on your team.
I don't think he's ever
No
played.
idea.
I have no idea who that
Okay.
is.
Okay. But besides Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks, I mean, no one on your team is above the age of 25. Obviously, Corey
Yeah,
Joseph,
no,
but he's probably not going to
it's
stay.
it's young.
So they need some people like Jalen Duren's 19. The U kids, whoever they draft, is going to be probably 22 or younger, which adds RJ Hampton. Obviously, Isaiah Livers is 24. Cade is 21. Buddy Boeheim, legend. Syracuse Legend's
Buddy
23.
Boeheim legend.
But seriously, their team is super young. So, I mean, they're going to need some older people, I think, to supplement that team. I don't know who, but I do like the hire. I do think, like you said, they needed some established name. I mean, and he's a good coach. Even when he was in New Orleans, he was a good coach.
Yeah.
So it's not like Dwayne Casey, where yeah, he was coach of the year for the Raptors, but they never really reached their limit. I mean, at least he has coached the team to the finals. So
Yeah. And the thing with getting free agents and stuff, and thinking that this might be a free agent team or that free agents want to go to, it's never been the case with Detroit. It's technically a mid market team. It's not a high market. And even with the bad boy Pistons and the going to work Pistons in '04, like they didn't get free agents. They everything's done through
I mean,
trade and
Chauncey
draft.
Billups was one.
Chauncey, yeah,
Chauncey
okay,
Billups was
that's
one.
fair.
Yeah.
But you just
Yeah.
throughout Pistons history, like there's really no free agents that come to mind. Blake Griffin, did we? No, we traded for Blake.
Trade for Blake.
I was gonna say we traded for Blake Griffin. Like
Trade. Or you
there's
signed
not
Josh Smith. I mean,
there's not big name guys that want to come play in Detroit. It's all done through the draft and the trade, which I'm fine with. It's fine. It's just another chip on our shoulder of like, you don't want to come play here. That's fine. We'll just beat the shit out of you then.
Yeah.
So I don't really expect that to change with Monty Williams coming in. I think it might. I don't know, because even when we were winning, like free agents still didn't want to come. It might be a while. We might get some mid-level guys. I just don't expect like any top 25 guys coming to Detroit anytime soon, free agent wise.
Yeah. And again, who they select in the draft will have a big impact on free agency, because they're not going to sign somebody and then pick a center if they
Yeah.
sign. They already have so many centers.
Well, we don't need any more centers.
You don't need any more centers. Get you some
God.
wings. That's what you need. You need some wings, okay?
I'm trying to think. We have 4 centers on the team, right? We have James Wiseman, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and Marvin Bagley.
Yep. Get you some wings, centers. Man. Get you some wings. Also, leaving the Valley of the Sun was, of course, Monty Williams, but now getting there is Frank Vogel. He got hired. He took the year off after getting fired. I don't know if correctly fired is the right term from the Lakers, but he did guide him to the championship. But of course, we know him from his Indiana Pacers days and his not as successful Orlando Magic days. He gets hired in Phoenix. Kind of what I said, because I figured one of the teams left would do an outside the box hire.
Yeah, you did say that.
So, I mean, he's just not in the current cycle. Everyone knows who Frank Vogel is. It's not a crazy thing. But he does get hired in Phoenix. What do you make about getting – because obviously you're going to go see some Suns games while you're out there. Do you like the hire? I think for me, it's a very similar, if not a slight drop off from Monty Williams, but it's as close as you can get without keeping him, which I still don't think he should have been fired in the first place. But I think Frank Vogel's still a good coach. I think he's still a good coach for what they have there.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it, at the end of the day, it's Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. They should be the ones that are carrying the team. This isn't a team that needs to be coached super hard. You have Chris Paul, who's top 5 point guard of all time, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, who's a top 5 player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
That might be top 10.
Top 10.
And Devin Booker, who could be on pace to be an elite top 5 player in the league if he's not already there. It's not a team that needs a coach that's up their ass all the time. They know what they need to do by this point. You have young guys like DeAndre Ayton, but
he's not young at this point.
Jury's still out on him.
Yeah, he's not young at this point. I mean, he's been in the league for 6 years?
No,
the man's 20.
It's only been 4 years.
2018, he got drafted.
Oh fuck, dude, it's been that long.
That's what I'm saying. He turns 25 next month, so I get it. But this is gonna be his 6th year in the league. He's been in the league for a while.
Yeah, I like the hire. I think it's fine. It's not really a down step or up step. It's just kind of everything's gonna stay the same. It's on the players at this point to win games, because I don't think any amount of coaching is going to help or make negative effects of what they can do on the court, because they're all top of the line veterans that know what they should be doing.
And he has experience working with the Lakers, and AD and LeBron. He has that understanding of these are veteran guys. They know what they need to do at this point.
Yeah.
Just help them along the way, not remake the wheel.
Yeah, this is not a rebuilding young team that needs to be coached every step of the way. This is a team that should have, been in the NBA Finals this year.
Yep. Yeah. So that does leave Toronto as the only team without a coach currently. The Raptors still haven't hired one. I think it's because they don't know whether they want to blow up the team or not. A no coach wants to get into that situation, because there's so many rumors about Scotty Barnes is the only player we're going to keep. We're going to trade OG Anunoby. We're going to trade Pascal Siakam. Fred VanVleet is gone. They don't know whether they're going to keep it together or trade for a star or rebuild. So I think that's why they might struggle to find a coach before the draft, honestly.
Yeah, I'm interested. They need to make the decision pretty quick of what they're going to do. I think they should run it back. It's a pretty weak East, like we've seen this year. The 8 seed came out of the East. No offense, but it kind of shows that it's a pretty weak Eastern
Best
Conference
team in the
this year.
East, just saying.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, you can't even debate
I
it.
know, I
You
know,
put
I can't. I know I can't. I'm just saying the 8 seed should not be making the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Heat. They've overperformed for sure. You can even admit that you didn't think they'd be here.
Yeah.
Put your bias aside. You would say that they shouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
It's a it's a weak East. They should make the playoffs with Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam. They couldn't do it
Hmm.
with Nick Nurse. Um, I, again, don't know if Nick Nurse should have been fired. It is what it is. They need to figure out if they're blowing it up or not because I think they should run it back. Toronto fans, I don't think they want to blow it up, but they want to see. I know they want Fred VanVleet gone for some
Hmm.
reason. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're stuck in a weird spot of like they could be like the fourth best team in the Eastern Conference, and if they finish 10th next year, I'm like, yeah, okay, that also doesn't surprise me because they're just underperforming constantly.
That's how they finished this year. They finished
Yeah,
that point. Yeah. I will say, like, I saw something which is very true about how I think nobody won the Kawhi Toronto split up. Like, could you imagine if the Raptors had kept Kawhi?
they'd
Like,
be
I
the best.
think
They'd be a top 2 team in the East.
like they'd still have Pascal, they still have Fred VanVleet, they still have
Yeah,
Kawhi. Maybe they don't get OG. No, they had OG Anunoby too. They
yep.
just probably wouldn't get Scotty Barnes, but like they've really gone a downfall since that championship. And you look at Kawhi in LA. I mean, he can't stay
Same thing.
healthy, he can't play, right? And he hasn't done anything either. So
Oh,
I think
I mean, look at LA and what they gave up for fucking Paul George. Like OKC is
it's
sitting on
also
a
true.
treasure trove of picks. Like
Yeah.
OKC fleeced him. Like they got Shea. I would say Shea and
Yeah.
Paul George at this point are comparable players.
Interchangeable, yeah.
Interchangeable. Maybe not, career wise. Paul George obviously has had a greater career, but like if you're telling me right now,
Best J can.
yeah, you're telling me right now, like you start a team centered around SGA or Paul George, I'm taking Shea. Like I'm sorry, that's younger, better, I think, at this point in their careers. Like the Clippers, and we're going off on a tangent on this one, but they got fucking fleeced out of that trade. Like what was it, like 6 first-round picks and the next like what 7 years?
I'm looking at it now. I
And I
mean,
don't.
they've got the first round swap in 2023, so this year's draft. In 2025 again, and they have 7 first round draft picks.
Yeah,
They have 7 first round draft picks. Like there's so much they can do.
like
There's so much they can do.
OKC is going to win a championship in the next 10 years. Like you already have Chet Holmgren coming back next year. You have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who's probably a top 5 point guard. You've got Josh Giddey, who is, the broke man's Jokic, I guess, triple double every other night seemingly. Like that's going to be a team that's going to be good in 10 years. But getting back to the Raptors, they're in a weird spot. I don't think Nick Nurse should have been fired. I'm curious to see who they hire because Mike Budenholzer still on the table, is he not? Unless there's been something that I completely missed in the last like.
No, he is, but like again, it's about like will he even coach
Well,
this season?
yeah,
His brother passed away. Like I think he won't. I think I could see him being an ESPN analyst. Remember I said that
yeah.
last time. Like I think he's going to be that guy that like is in there for like the NBA, ESPN, and NBA or NBA and ESPN thing they do.
Well,
I can
I
see him
think
doing that.
we'll know by the draft who they end up coaching or who ends up coaching them, but it might be a little bit because there's been no rumblings out of Toronto so far.
Yeah. I will say I think that's it for basketball news. We do have another
Well,
major tournament.
we did have what's his name? Adam Silver talk about expansion.
Yes, I'm going to get to that at the end. I did.
Okay, okay,
I do have that, so I will cover it at the end. Not to worry.
okay.
But I think we go into the NHL Stanley Cup now, and we do have Game 2 tonight in Vegas. And I want you to take me through your Game 1 reactions because I did see most of Game 1 for the Panthers Vegas. And I got to say, it was pretty close. I mean, Panthers struck first, Vegas answered. The Panthers had a great chance to go up 2-0. And I mean, that clearance that they had on the open goal that the Panthers had to score, and they got saved by the Vegas goalie was insane. Like, it was literally the save of the season. Like, even as it happened, the commentators knew it was crazy. But instead of going up 2-0, Vegas tied it 1-1. And then Vegas in the third period kind of took over. Take me your thoughts through Game 1, through the Cats and the Knights.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game.
Ah,
I was at the Diamondbacks game, so I missed it. I was trying to like watch it. There's a TV. There's a bar like kind of up and to the left, and you can like
yeah.
kind of make out the TV sometimes. So I was trying to pay attention, but yeah, no. Aiden Hill's save is the save of the year. That saved the game for him. Well, I mean, technically, they won 5-2, but huge momentum shift. Um, that was insane. That's gonna put him right up there for the Conn Smythe Trophy at the end of the round.
Hmm.
Spectacular. I think he had like 33 saves. Let me just make sure I'm not saying anything wrong. Yeah, 33 saves. Mark Stone had a goal, and Zach Whitecloud, a defenseman, had a goal. Just all around, Vegas kind of rolled. It was close, like you said, for the first two, and then the third period, I think experience kind of showed up where Vegas wanted it to. Aiden
Hmm.
Hill made some big stops, and just I think the overall talent disparity was shown in the third period, just kind of what we expected. But yeah, Los Gatos kind of got blew out at the end of the game there.
And it was weird because like the Cats scored shorthanded when Knights had a power play. That was their first goal. Like it was 4-on-5 and they scored a goal, which is crazy to me. But it seemed like the Knights always had a power play. That the Cats like some kind of penalty, like it was either icing or it was like a fight that was brought out or like a delayed penalty, whatever it was. It seemed like the Knights always had a power play. And I mean, they scored on two of them, but like, and obviously they scored two goals of empty netters. But I think for the Cats, they got to be more disciplined. They were being the more aggressive team. Don't get me wrong; they're pushing the action and being the tougher team in the beginning. But I think they went too far with it, and that led to the Knights having way more opportunities to
Yeah,
score. So
the
I think
Panthers
the
had
Cats,
11 penalties, which is not good.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like some of them were bad penalties. Like there was one where I forget which player it was at the end of the game. He got kicked out of the game. Like he got kicked out for his actions.
I wasn't
I think
watching,
they
so I
need
can't tell you.
I think they need to be physical, but they can't let it over be the only thing they do. Like they have to be smarter with it.
Yeah,
I think I
nah,
liked how they played the first two periods. They just got to keep it up. And Bobrovsky, he made some great saves
he had a
still.
bad game though.
He had a bad game, but he made a lot of great saves to keep him in it. You know, and like oh my god, the Knights' second goal was like such a breakdown defensively. About there was a guy like 3 feet in front of Bobrovsky in the middle of the ice, didn't get covered. So the pass just goes to him and he immediately whips around. You know what I mean? Like there's no shot Bobrovsky had on that.
Yeah.
So I think they need to communicate better on defense and just not be in the freaking penalty box for the entire game.
Yeah, I think the story of the series is going to be that Aiden Hill save if the Knights go on and win this pretty quickly. Um, and it was Matthew Kachuk who got kicked out. Good on you for
Okay.
finally learning his name and how to say it
Kachuk.
correctly.
Yes.
But yeah, Kachuk got kicked out for a double minor. Um, I think Vegas is. I picked this beforehand. Vegas is the better team, and they're really good at home. They're like 25-15 at home. We'll say their intro cheesy as shit. Oh my god! I don't know if you saw it. It is probably the cheesiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was talking to Grace. She's like, I thought it was entertaining. I was like, no, this is cheese. It's awful. But this
Yeah.
should be a pretty quick. I think it's going to be a quick series. I think the Panthers might get one back in what's the name of the stadium now? They've changed that one like four different times too.
FLA Live
Yeah,
Arena.
I think they might get one there, but Vegas, I think is just showing to be too good, too experienced. They've been in the playoffs constantly. They've been in these big spots, and Florida's still relatively new and hasn't had the experience that Vegas has. Even though they're well, I'm gonna say they've been around a lot longer, but really they've only been around like 15 years more than
Ben the
Vegas. So
Knights.
yeah, they're both
Yeah.
relatively new still. So
But the Knights have been at least to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, not too many people left from that team actually as the
also, you talk by
team today.
yourself because I have to go pee.
Okay.
I'm taking a pee break.
So we did mention last episode about how DeAndre Hopkins got cut by Arizona and by the Cardinals, and I think we're both just so surprised that the Cardinals didn't get anything for him. You know, I mean, this is a guy who is probably top five, definitely a top 10 receiver in the league, and the Cardinals couldn't get anything for him during the draft process, the pre-draft, even after the draft. I mean, this is a guy that teams want on their roster. If he goes to the Bills, he's a great wide receiver two. If he goes to Cleveland, arguably the wide receiver one. He goes to a lot of teams. He's their first receiver. I mean, Detroit is a pretty good odds-on favorite to land him. They have the money, which he does want, a longer contract. Arizona is just going to be the worst team in the NFL because they got nothing for him. Taylor, what do you make that Arizona didn't get anything for D Hop, and where do you think he's going to go next?
I thought it was weird. Like, I thought he would have had some sort of trade value, but I guess everyone kind of knew that they were going to be moving on from him no matter what. So might as well just wait it out to see if they ended up cutting him, and they did. I don't know. It's weird. I felt like there should have been trade partners, even if you only get like a fourth or fifth round pick. Like at that point, you might as well take a shot. What fourth or fifth round pick for DeAndre Hopkins, who put up almost 1,000 yards last year with a shitty team.
And he was hurt or suspended.
Yeah,
He was
was
suspended for
the
8 games.
first half
Yeah.
of the season. So I think whoever he goes to is going to be a steal. I know right now, and the Lions are they have the second best odds to sign him.
It's the Browns first.
The
Yeah.
Browns are plus 100, which is pretty good chances that he goes there. That's a pretty stacked offense too, with Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Who's
And
their one, two,
Njoku.
three?
They have Donovan Peoples-Jones,
Yeah.
yeah. But Njoku plays tight end one for
Yeah.
them.
So that'd be a really good team. But Detroit went from like plus 1,500 to plus 400 over the weekend. So something is happening in Detroit with DeAndre Hopkins. I hope we sign him. I think he's going to be a really good, like, not stopgap, but Jameson Williams is up for 6 games. So for him to be able to carry that load for the first 6 games of the year, and then getting Jameson Williams back, this is going to be, and I told you this morning, this is probably a top 5 offense in the league. Like, they're going to be really good if they get in, if DeAndre Hopkins can produce, even what half as good as he did last year.
I think for Arizona, I think this just solidifies the fact that they're going to be tanking. Like, this is going to be the worst team in the NFL. Like, the Kyler Murray injury gave them an excuse. Like, they have their pick and they have Houston's pick next season. If one of them is not top 5, I'd be shocked. So I think they're going to package this. I think they might move on from Kyler if he doesn't recover back from the injury and can avoid the small quarterback label. I mean, we've got Caleb Williams coming on in the draft. We've got May, the kid from North Carolina, is also looking really good. So I think if Arizona sees their chance, remember, they're not afraid. They drafted Kyler Murray after drafting Josh Rosen in the top 10.
Yeah.
A year after they drafted him in the top 10. It's not a team to move on from quarterbacks. I'm very surprised Arizona didn't get anything back, but I hope D-Hop goes to the NFC. So I hope he goes to the Lions. I don't want to see him in the AFC, okay?
Yeah.
We already have enough receivers in the AFC to worry about with
Oh, yeah,
Diggs, with Hill, with Jamar Chase, with everybody in the AFC. We got enough to worry about.
Well, and especially since the other 2 teams that are favored, it's down to a pretty much 4-team race with the Browns, the Lions, the Bills, and the Chiefs. I mean, if he goes to the Bills and the Chiefs, it's over. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't
wrap
want
it
to
up.
That.
It's done. And their odds have dropped recently. I think they're both down to like plus 700 and 800. It seems like it might be a 2-horse race between Detroit and Cleveland. I think Cleveland would be the better option if you're a Dolphins fan, like we are. Obviously, I want to go to the Lions, but
yeah, go to Detroit.
It's definitely a better. You don't want them going to Buffalo or Kansas City because the league is done after that if it happens. But yeah, Arizona is absolutely tanking. They'll probably end up taking Caleb Williams and moving on from Kyler if he doesn't return. I still have a little bit of faith in Kyler Murray. I know, yeah, but I do think the potential is there. And like, what are the odds that like all these Oklahoma quarterbacks are actually dog shit?
I mean, Jalen Hurts wasn't. I only went to Bama first.
Baker Mayfield was terrible. Who was in the middle of Baker and Kyler? Wasn't there another one?
Jalen Hurts was one, and
yeah, but they were
Spencer
all drafted.
Riddler, but he's still in college.
Huh?
I don't know.
Maybe I was wrong. I thought there was 3 Oklahoma quarterbacks.
You're right. It's Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts.
I thought it was a different one other than Jalen, but yeah. Like, what are the odds that those 2 like highly touted like Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray are going to be out of the league in like 2 years?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I will say we'll stay in the Bills for a second because they did make some moves in the last week. They re-signed Ed Oliver to a 3-year deal, extending his contract as he was on a rookie year. I mean, great defensive tackle. Like, even when he got drafted, I was like, this guy's going to be a stud. I don't know how he felt. I think 9 or 11, whatever it was when they drafted him, but great player. And Leonard Floyd is reuniting with Von Miller back from their Denver days. and he's going to be with the Bills on a 1-year deal. I think defensive line was never the issue for me, so these moves don't really move the needle too much because it's mainly their secondary and their linebacker play outside of Milano, you know. So, and not anything crazy, but I don't know. Anything you want to make of these moves?
No, more depth and the rich get richer.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Again, we're in a slow part of the NFL offseason. We're excited. We're under 100 days. We're under 100 days
We are.
to the start of the season. So I think we're 98 today or 99, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
we're gonna start mock drafting here. So I saw the email that you renewed the league, so that's how you know it's getting close.
Yeah, yeah. I had a link open. I was like, no, what? Let me just do this now.
Yeah,
So we got a couple months though to the draft. We do want to keep up with our series we started last episode. We're gonna do it again this episode, which is our almost mid-season, not like a third season of the way. Our
third
report
of the
cards,
season.
third of the season for baseball, and we kick it off with probably the biggest dog pile of bad, mediocre teams, and that is the Central for both the NL
Yeah,
and the AL.
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty
I don't.
bad. I mean,
I think there's
I
only
don't
one
think
good grade out of all of these ones. So
there's only one grade above a B in this pool. And it's
there's
not
only
you think
one
it is.
grade. Oh yeah. You're right.
It's one grade. So, I mean, if you want to start, we can go through the NL and talk to me about the division leading as of, or half a game back, should I say, Pittsburgh Pirates.
So the Pirates get my best grade today out of the 10 teams that we're going to talk about. The NL Central's second best team, 31 and 27. The Pittsburgh Pirates get an A minus from me. It would have been an A plus if they could have kept the momentum and not gone like almost 14 of like 17 games. But
Mhm.
they started out red hot. They were one of the best teams in the league coming out of the gate for the first like 3 weeks to a month. Cooled off, but they're still only half a game out, and all of this without O'Neal Cruz. Like the
Mhm.
fact that they're still extremely competitive, and granted a really weak NL Central without probably their best player, who I think he said he wants to come back late summer. So
Yep.
if they were to make a run at the playoffs, he'd be there for it. But it'll be a tentative maybe he comes back. They're getting contributions everywhere with Brian Reynolds hitting like 5 home runs in the first like 10 games or something. Key Brian Hayes has started to finally kind of look decent on the team. I know he's been kind of a letdown in the last couple of years. And Andrew McCutchen, I I don't think anybody in the league hates the guy. I don't think anybody could hate Andrew McCutchen. Is having a great revival year in Pittsburgh. I'm glad to see he's back where it all started, doing great for a team that has been down for a couple of years. Mitch Keller is having a quiet Cy Young campaign. I don't think nobody talks about Mitch Keller winning the Cy Young. It's kind of Spencer Strider, Zach Gallen, but he's definitely having a quiet Cy Young campaign, and they've overachieved, but they're in a really weak division, which I think they can still definitely compete in. They're ahead of schedule without their best player.
And the fact that they're a half a game behind the Brewers and they're only 4 games above 500 just shows you like the
It's
quality in this
bad.
division is bad. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, they're only
bad.
15 and 13 at home. They're 16 and 14 away. So again, they're like treading water, slightly better than treading water. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10, which is the best in this division, which is again emphasizing how bad it's been.
Yeah, it's not
But
saying
I
much.
agree. I agree. For their expectations before the season, they're kind of predicted to finish fourth, if not fifth, behind the Reds.
Yeah,
So I would say A minus is a good grade, maybe even A. Uh, I think if O'Neal Cruz was healthy, the team would be a little bit better, and I think they'd earn
oh
that
yeah,
A
for sure.
100%. But he's supposed to be back in like late August, maybe early September. Which I mean, if they're still like within 4 or 5 games of the division when he comes back, I think that's a big boost for them because he was having a pretty good start to his year before he got hurt. But yeah, I agree with PA. I would like to say they're doing much better compared to their projections than the next team, which is the Milwaukee Brewers. And I gotta say, they're in first place of the division. I really don't know how. I mean, I know they're like okay, like pitching wise, but I mean, even Burns isn't doing that great. He's got an ERA closer to 4. This team can't hit. Like they hit for power and that's it. Like run differential wise, it's minus 19. Like Christian Yelich is their best batting average person at 254, which is still pretty bad. So I would rank them maybe a C, maybe C minus. But again, I think the Brewers are just taking advantage of a weak division, not being like, oh wow, they're so much better than else in this division. Like if they went 1-9 in their last 10, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah. I mean, their run differential is minus 19, which is bad for a wild card team, let alone, a division leader. That's not sustainable. Like, if you want to stay at the top of the top in the division, like, you better not have a minus 19 run differential. Rowdy Tellez might be their best hitter, which is terrible. Like, what's he batting? He's batting. Oh shit! I just had it. I don't know. He's got like 13 home runs and a pretty shit batting average too. No Brandon Woodruff is gonna hurt the team. Their rotation has been really bad without him. Corbin Burns has been. He started out bad. He started to pick it up a little bit. I'll give him. But he's at like a 3.75 ERA. Freddie Peralta's been non-existent. Devin Williams out of the pen has been electric. He's been great. He's probably going to be an all-star. But there's just like nothing special about this team. Like, yeah, they're in first. They're treading water at this point. They're just getting lucky because the other teams in the division are just so shit too.
Yeah, and I mean, they've won. They're 8-4 in the division, and Pittsburgh is 10-4 in the division, which just
Yeah.
shows you how bad it's been. Like the Cubs have lost 8, the Reds have lost 11, the Cardinals have lost 11 just to their divisional foes. So what's crazy is Cardinals are still projected to finish second in this division, even though they're in last
Yeah,
place, which
that's
is crazy to me.
crazy. Yeah,
But
but the
uh,
Brewers, they get a C. I agree. I mean, this is a team that you can't penalize them that much because they're still in first in the division. They're doing better than everyone else, and they have the potential to be, a top 10 team in the league based just on like Corbin Burns being able to carry a rotation with Brandon Woodruff. They have a decent bullpen with Devin Williams, and I mean, the offense just isn't clicking right now.
I agree. I will say in the next division, again, the next place in the division is 26-32, 6 games below 500 is third place. That's the Cubs of Chicago. And I can't really point out what's majorly wrong with this team. I mean,
No, it's weird.
they have like a decent rotation with Stroman and Steele, right? They're getting good hitting, kind of, from Nico Horner and from Dansby Swanson, who's been amazing. I mean, he got
Yeah,
signed there, and I don't know if like the Wilson Contreras move was really that huge. I'm losing it to St. Louis or what, but I mean, it seems isn't that great. I mean, I nobody projected this team to win a division, I don't think, unless you were from, the Windy City. But I think they're kind of treading water. I would give them a C probably still because like they could still have a run and they should be the second best team. With how weak the division is, they should be the second best team
yeah.
in this division. They just haven't played up to par. It's not bad at anything crazy, but they're kind of just not moving the needle either. This is a team that could use a big splash in the trade deadline to really get their season back on track because they can definitely make the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
they can, but I would give them a C.
Yeah, I agree. I gave him a C plus. Like you said, Nico Horner batting 284 is pretty good. Dansby Swanson's been a great addition. I think he's almost at a 3 WAR, which at this point in the season is you know top 20. I don't know how many people are above a 3, but um, Christopher Morel was a good story. He hit 5 home runs in 5 straight games a couple of weeks ago and has kind of cooled off, batting 267 now. The pen hasn't been great, but Marcus Stroman's having a great year. Another under the radar Cy Young kind of guy. And Justin, is it Justin Steele? I think it's Justin.
Yeah,
Pretty sure
Justin.
it's Justin Steele. He's having a good year as well. Probably not Cy Young worthy. Uh, the metrics, as the analysts are looking at, are saying that there's some regression to be had. I'm not huge into the analytics. Sorry, sabermetrics, but they're saying regression. I don't know. He's been pretty good. They both have. It's just weird. They seem to have kind of like everything. Maybe they just need some more bats. Maybe another rotation piece. Maybe another bullpen piece. I don't know. Like they're kind of just they're an average team who we thought was going to be average.
Hmm.
I don't
Like I
know.
said,
Like
everyone
that.
like
Like making
yeah,
making the dance. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But making the Dansby move is like you would have thought that they would have wanted to compete a little bit more, making that big splash with Dansby Swanson, and they've just kind of been middling. So I don't know what they were thinking with it, but yeah, like you said, trade deadline to come. There's going to be a couple teams, especially in their own division, that are going to be selling off pieces that they could use.
yeah. I think for me, the next team on this list, which for me is the Reds, because they're in fourth place in the division. I would give them a B for how their season's going in the Great American Ballpark. I mean, this team isn't that good. Nobody really thought they'd be that good, but again, they're not the worst team in the division, which already earns them props. Um, I mean, they've had actually a lot of injuries to their team. I don't know if you realize their entire starting outfield has pretty much been hurt for a lot of the season. Will Myers, CJ Friedel, Jake Fraley. Joey Votto's also been rehabbing an injury for a lot of the season. I mean, Jonathan India has been great. Tyler Stevenson's been really good this season. So has Hunter Green, who now is hurt. But, I mean, he's going to be out until at least next week, a hip injury. But this team's been a lot better than people gave him credit for. And Hunter Green has really stepped it up. I mean, he was on my advanced team before he got hurt. But, I mean, 88 strikeouts to 25 walks is always a great ratio, and 62 innings, too. You know, he's averaging almost 2 strikeouts an inning. So I think for where they are in the season, I would give them a B, maybe even a B plus, just because like if they have their outfield return and healthy, this is the team that could finish third in the division, maybe even fight for second. But as of now, with all the injuries, they're just a little bit too far back to catch up with the Cubs or the Brewers or the Pirates.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, they play bad and average teams pretty well, but they don't hold up when you play, a top 15 team in the league. And that's to be
Hmm.
expected. They're not supposed to be good. They were supposed to be probably one of the worst teams in the league. And now, especially with injuries, the fact that they've been able to kind of eke out some games and beat, some average competition is good. I think Hunter Green is going to be an ace in the next few years. He's really good. Jonathan India and Spencer. I'm bad with first names, but is it Spencer Sear?
Yes,
I think
you got it right again. Yeah.
yeah. Wow, I'm 2 for 2. Look at that.
Hmm.
Have been good. Nick Senzel, mid, but it's been an interesting year for the Reds. I think everyone expected them to be the fifth worst team in the division, and they probably still will finish that. But they're watchable. They're not
Is this a
Oakland A's
team?
bad.
Yeah. Is this a team you think is going to sell at the deadline, sell Jonathan India, sell their more established players? Maybe not Joey Votto because he's too old, but
I
like,
don't
do you
think
think it's a team that
no.
sells
I don't think they'll sell off Jonathan India just because he didn't he win Rookie of the Year like 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
I don't I don't know. I mean, like, how often do you see a Rookie of the Year get traded in 2 years, other than Kyle Lewis, who did it like this year? But I don't know. They don't have like a ton of pieces. Like, I don't think you're selling Hunter Green at all. You're not getting rid of Joey Votto, Jonathan India, and Spencer Sear are probably untouchable. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't see a lot of pieces on the team that someone's gonna covet. Maybe it's just like a bench
Hmm.
bat, but
I would say, I mean, of course, putting it out there, but I think the Marlins would love Jonathan India.
oh,
Like
I mean, a
he's
lot of
he's
teams would. I don't know if the Reds are gonna
they're
unless you're
ready
getting
to
a
take it.
decent. Yeah, I don't know.
Return.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could put a rise at first base. India's from Fort Lauderdale, went to UF, like went to high school in the area. I mean, I'm just saying that the Marlins got India, I think it'd be amazing for us. But I
Yeah.
digress.
I mean, like, what are you giving up though?
Pitching. I mean, they don't have anybody outside of 100 Green really right now. They could use
Oh,
some
are
pitching
you giving him? Are
prospects.
you giving him Yuri?
I'll give them. I'll give them. Oh my God, who's our four starter? I'm gonna give them Khalil Watson, and I'll give them not Braxton Garrett. I can't remember the guy. Edward Cabrera. I'll give them too.
Oh, Edward Cabrera, who has like an 8 ERA and has been getting rocked all season.
No, no, he's got a whip like in the fours because he walks everybody.
Oh,
But
there it is. Yeah, he walks everyone, then gives up a grand slam, and then he's good.
yeah, but he's done well recently. He's had some good
Oh,
starts.
okay,
But Khalil
okay.
Watson's still good, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like something like that. But we have to talk about the worst team, which has been historically one of the best teams in baseball historically in the last 20 years. And that's the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, this team was expected to easily win the NL Central, and instead they have been last. I mean, you would think they have the reigning MVP in Paul Goldschmidt. They got Nolan Arenado. Everyone essentially came back from last season with Wilson Contreras coming, so you knew with Yachty out, they'd be maybe keep up the same production at catcher. But they've been terrible. I mean, Goldie's still doing great. Arenado's doing better than he was in the beginning of the season, still doing trash. But I mean, this team can't pitch. That's the biggest thing. This team cannot pitch. They pitch almost as bad as the A's. And if you do that, you know you're doing something wrong because the A's literally can't pitch. So I think they need to get a way to find pitching. If only they had a young stud like Sandy Alcantara. You know, he's had a rough year this year. He was a Cardinal at one point. They need to make a trade for big time pitching because they have nobody right now. I mean, you can't rely on Adam Wainwright at 40 years old. You know, you can't do that.
No, but that's the thing is they still have they have the elite pieces like Miles Michaelis. They have Jack Flaherty, Jordan Montgomery. Like, the pieces are there. They're just not performing to what we thought that they would. I mean, all of them had like a 4 or over ERA, like, which is not good. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I think they're going to be sellers at the deadline. If this continues, like, you might be on the verge of just selling everything and rebuilding. I don't know what their pipeline and prospect pool looks like, but I mean, guys, the bullpen guys, Giovanni Gallegos and Ryan Helsley, like, those are good options for a trade deadline. Those will bring you back some decent pieces.
Yeah,
Jack Flaherty, Jordan Montgomery bring you back decent pieces. Even if you wanted to trade Wainwright, I mean, you're probably not getting a top 20 prospect from a team, but
they're not
you
getting
know,
anything. He's way too old. He's 41. You're not getting anything
yeah.
from Wainwright. He's got
I
a
mean,
6 ERA.
yeah, that's pretty shit. But I mean, they have a lot of pieces. If they wanted to go full rebuild, they absolutely could. They could. I mean, bullpen pieces tend to get a little more in return during the trade deadline than they do any other time because that's when teams need them. So
Yeah.
I mean, pitching in the playoffs is huge. I think they're going to end up being sellers. They probably don't sell Goldschmidt and Arenado just because I don't know if they're going that far into a rebuild. They would get a ton of pieces though for Goldschmidt and Arenado if they want to just completely blow this thing up.
I mean, I think they could because I mean, Goldie's 35. Arenado's 32. These are not. I know they're still producing, but like these are not young pieces in their team. Wainwright's literally 41, and like you're not scared of 30-year-old Jordan Montgomery on the mound as your opening day starter. You know what I mean? He's 2 and
Yeah.
7 on the year. He's got a 4 ERA. He's doing okay, but like that's what I'm saying. This team needs talent, and they're not getting good contributions from like Tommy Edmonds hitting like 260, kind of doing okay. Paul DeJong's hitting 240, definitely not great, right at shortstop.
Like Brendan Donovan's
So
probably the best player outside of Goldschmidt and Arenado.
yeah, I mean, this is a team
So
that just can't do that well. I mean,
they did call Jordan Walker back up though, I think. So maybe
but they
that
just, I don't know. I mean, they just got swept by the Pirates,
they
you
did.
know,
That was
like,
bad. They were starting to like be okay too, and then they got swept by the Pirates, and it's
yeah,
back
they
to
lost
square one.
7-0 to Kansas City, you know, in that
Yeah.
game that almost came up with a perfect game a couple weeks ago or last week.
I don't think they'll blow it up, but I think it's time for them to blow it up. If they can't get to a respectable record and be like within 5 games at the deadline, then they need to just they
Yeah.
need to
But
blow
they
it
also
up.
like they swept Boston and they won 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers and they won 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. So this team just has no
They just don't know what to
consistency.
do. Yeah,
They
they're
don't know
all
what to
over
do.
the place.
Yeah. But it's still an F for me.
Oh yeah,
We do
easy
get
F.
we do get to the worst somehow the worst division out of these two, which is your division, the American
Yes
League
sir.
Central.
Yes sir.
We're going to start with the Minnesota Twins, who of course gave the Marlins Luis Arias. Thank you very much for Pablo Lopez. Hasn't been as great as he was in Miami, honestly. Him and Sonny Gray have still been a good 1-2 combo, but not as much as I think expected. Brian Buxton is still Brian Buxton, whereas he either
Wait
is
wait
hitting
wait
400
wait.
foot.
What'd you just call him?
Byron Buxton.
Oh, you said Brian. I was like, no sir, his name is
Oh,
Byron.
sorry, Byron Buxton. I mean, everyone thought he was going to light the world on fire. He finally got healthy last year, earned that big contract, and he has been pretty bad, pretty awful, honestly. Him and Correa have been really awful, high-paid players on this team. They're somehow surviving and ahead of this really bad division, but I would rank them a C minus. This team should be probably 4, 6 games ahead of everybody in the division. They're only 2 ahead of the Tigers, I think, or 2 ahead of the Guardians, should I say?
They're 3.5 ahead of Detroit after we got swept over the weekend by the White Sox. So
There you go. Before the division, before the
yeah,
weekend, it was closer. But even then, this team is 2 games above 500. They should definitely be doing better. I'd give them a C, C minus.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray have been really good. Outside of that, I mean, like you said, Byron Buxton with a 220 average is awful. Carlos Correa is a black hole, both in the field and in your wallet, with a 207 batting average. They live and die by the long ball. I think they're seventh in home runs hit. Other than that, they don't do anything. They just Joey Gallo, Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa. I'm trying to think of another name, but I can't. All they do, they either hit bombs or they get out. That's not sustainable at all. Living by the long ball, especially in the playoffs when pitching seems to be elevated and better, is not a recipe for success, and it usually comes back to bite you pretty quick. So the Twins will probably win this division. I think the Guardians have a solid chance at doing it too. If the Twins are the ones that come out of this division, they are going to get cooked in the playoffs. because they're going to end up having to
Yeah.
play probably an AL East team because they'll be the third best division winner, and they'll play the third wild card team, which has a pretty solid chance of either being the Astros or the third best AL East team.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, like I think this team is not going to do much in the playoffs, but they have the chance to because, like, again, if Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray have really good pitching performances, they have enough to score to get them through it. It's just can they put it all together at once? Again, inconsistency is the theme of this entire division, but I don't know. We'll see if Minnesota gets through it. I see my buddy Chris tweet about him all the time because he's a Twins fan, and he always thinks it's the worst team in baseball. So they could be worse. They could be the Royals, but we'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah, God, they're bad
We
too.
we do have your hometown Detroit Tigers. All I'm going to say is if they're a team that is most affected by two pitchers missing on this season, it's the Tigers with Tariq Skubal and Casey Mize. Because if they had these two healthy and performing, I think you're looking at a team that's able to compete for the division. But it would at least supplement their offensive issues, you know? Like Julio Rodriguez has been kind of bad pitching wise, hasn't been okay, but like I don't know. You talk to me about Detroit.
It doesn't matter if we had the five best pitchers in the league on the team. We have scored 207 runs, which is one more than the Oakland A's for the worst in baseball. This offense is putrid. Yesterday, we ran out four guys batting under 200. Andy Ibanez, Jake Rogers, Nick Maton, and Tyler Nevin. That's our lineup in June. That's four of our guys all batting under 200. Javi Baez is just a disgrace to watch. He's third
Yep.
in errors in the league. He swings at fucking sliders that are in the dirt 5 feet outside the box. He runs into a home run every once in a while. Just awful. Spencer Torkelson still cannot hit big league pitching. He just finally hit another home run the other day. He's batting like 230. I think he's a career 220 hitter in the MLB. I'm giving him next year. If he doesn't improve by next year at the end of it, he's a bust. Unfortunately, I wanted to believe in him. It doesn't look like it's happening. He's great defensively, other than pop-ups in foul territory, which he still cannot grasp for some reason. But he just swings through 94-mile-an-hour fastballs down the middle. I don't know if he's what's the word when you're I can't think of it. Oh my,
When you're what?
he's got the yips.
Yeah, he's got the
Yeah,
yips.
Spencer Torkelson has the yips. He just can't hit fucking fastballs down the middle. And then, of course, Riley Green, probably their best player, batting almost 300, goes down with a broken fibula a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And there's no timetable on his return. The team has absolutely tanked since losing him. They get a C just because their rotation hasn't. It's been bad, but Eduardo Rodriguez for the first month and a half was a Cy Young candidate. He's kind of cooled off since, but it's still a pretty solid piece. Michael Lorenzen started out really bad, but he's up to like a 3 ERA, so he's been a pretty solid addition. But other than that, you've got Matthew Boyd, who haven't heard his name in fucking 8 years. Joey Wentz, who I think we got from the Braves like 4 years ago for something. But no Casey Mize, no Matt Manning, no Spencer Turnbull, no Tarek Skubal. Like the pitching is gone. There's nothing. Kerry Carpenter has been out. Like there's nothing in the pipeline. I'm going on a rant, dude. We are.
So you just sound depressed. You just
Yeah.
sound so sad.
Like there's nothing in the pipeline. Like we just have nothing coming up for us. The owner refuses to spend money. Like it's over. They get a C just because they're not as bad as I thought they would be, and they're still like within striking range of a bad division. But it's bad being a Detroit Tigers fan right now.
And I gotta say, I mean, nobody in the Tigers has hit 50 hits except for Riley Green, who's now
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah.
Miguel Cabrera has 19 hits in the season. I
He
know it's his last year. I know it's a send off, but he's hitting 202, man.
I know.
I mean, Jake
And
Rogers is
there's
hitting 154 too, which is a terrible, which is
and
terrible.
here's the thing with Miggy, and I'm a firm believer we should just let him play it out. If this was a competitive team and we were like competing for a division title, I'm all for benching him. Like, let's go. Maybe not benching him every day, but giving him one or two starts every series. You're not playing him every day. He gets to say his goodbye to every team and do his little send off. But people on Twitter are like, "Yeah, we need to DFA him." I'm like,
Nah,
what?
you lose way more fans and revenue if
Oh
you get rid
my
of him.
god! If they cut Miguel Cabrera, there would be hell breaking loose. And people on Twitter are like, "Yeah, they need to cut him." I was like, "Why? We're not competing for anything. This man has been the savior of Detroit Tigers baseball because God knows where we would be without Miguel Cabrera." Um, like I don't know. I get it. I get the argument if we're like competitive and need to win games, like maybe bench him, every other game. But I'm fine letting him hit. Let him go out there. He wants to play baseball this year. He doesn't want. He already said he doesn't want to just be sitting in the locker room. Like he wants to go out and play and field, and I'm fine with it. I hate the Twitter people that are like bench him. Like, oh, okay, dude, we'll win 2 more games because we bench him. Congratulations, we finished 18 games under 500 now.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the Tigers hitting is bad. Like, the
Oh,
Marlins are
it's
hitting
bad.
261 with Luis Ariz obviously hitting 392 and Brian De La Cruz hitting 300. If you put the worst hitting player on the Marlins, besides Gene Segura, who has been an awful, awful addition,
Hey, he had a walk
every
off the other
single,
day, didn't
yeah, good for him. Yeah, finally. If you
he?
put if you put the best hitting Tiger on the Marlins, he would be fifth. He would be fifth on the Marlins, and that's the
Riley
Marlins, who are not a great
Riley
hitting team.
Riley Green would be fifth.
I mean, I'm saying healthy. I'm talking Zach
Oh, okay. I was
McKinstry.
gonna say because
He's hitting 278.
okay, I was gonna say because Riley Green's batting like 296. There's no way
He
that
would
there's
still
5 guys above
he
him.
would still be third behind De La Cruz and Arise.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, this team can't hit.
no, they're bad, and there's nothing in the pipeline coming up either. It's gonna be some dark, dark days ahead for the Tigers.
Wasn't it supposed to be light in the tunnel with all the
I thought
rebuilds?
I was like, oh my god, this year like we might finally figure it out. Our pitchers coming back, maybe the hitters figure it out, and there's just been nothing at all going on.
Yeah, we'll get through these next ones kind of quick. The Guardians, again, this team should be way above where they are right now. I mean, Jose Ramirez has still been really good for them, but I don't know. Again, this is another team that's kind of like the Cardinals, where I'm like, this team should be doing way better. This team should be ahead of the division, but they're just kind of meh right now, not really performing up to standards. Um, I don't know. Again, this team has been okay, but like they've also been super inconsistent. Like they lose against the White Sox, lose against the Tigers. So
Yeah,
I don't know what to say about the
They're
Guardians.
losing against bad teams, and they can beat good teams. So I don't know what they're doing. They just DFA'd Zach Plesac. Jose Ramirez has been honestly pretty bad. He's only batting like 260. We thought he
For the
probably.
Tigers, he'd be the leading batting
Yeah, yeah, he
average
would, but
guy.
he hasn't been good to his standards. No one stood out.
Yeah.
The pitching is good, but like you said, they can't beat bad teams. You're not going to win in the playoffs. You're not even going to make the playoffs. This is still probably the second best team in the division. I think they could win it if they figure it out. Shane Bieber is still a top of the line ace. They just got to figure it out and beat some bad teams, which there's a lot of them in the division. So
Yeah. It may work out. I mean, we may be talking about the Guardians might make the playoffs, but
but
for now,
I'm giving them a C minus. I'm also giving the Tigers a C. I forgot we're doing report cards, and I haven't even been saying the grades that I'm giving
it's
them
just a
for each of
tangent.
them.
You got so wrapped
Yeah,
up
I just went
the
on a
direction of the
tangent. It's like,
Tigers. It's okay. You can talk about some really bad teams now, even worse than the Tigers, which somehow exist.
cool.
We got Chicago. The Cubs have been good. Well, like we said, kind of man, but the White Sox have been awful. I mean, who knew that De La Russa was, or was that the name of the manager before, right? Last year?
De La Rosa.
Yeah, De La Rosa.
Yeah,
Who knew he was the glue keeping this together? Or maybe it was Jose Abreu. I don't know. But this team has been terrible. I mean, Tim Anderson is playing like a scrub. Like, he honestly has been awful this season. Um, they haven't been great pitching wise. They can't hit. They really can't field. I mean, they have such a bad fielding error that they literally allowed a little
Oh,
league inside the
Tony. It
park
was
home run.
De La Rosa. It was Tony La Russa.
Tony Russa. Tony
Why did I
Russa.
say You said De La Rosa, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like
I was
that
thinking
sounds like it's
LaRussa. Yeah, Tony
right.
LaRussa.
We
But
promise
everyone,
we promise we know baseball.
but I mean, this guy like was hated in his tenure as the manager of the White Sox, right? Like everyone hated him literally for his actions and the fact that the team didn't perform
Man,
as well.
that man got
But I
caught
mean,
drunk
they've
driving
been
like 3 times.
yeah. But this team has been awful. I mean, Jose Abreu has been awful for Houston, so he's not the big
Oh, he's been
overriding
like
arc.
a bottom 5 player of the league. I think he's
He
bottom
has,
5 in WAR. He's been
he
terrible.
has. So I don't know what it is. I mean, the White Sox are definitely going to be, I believe, selling this trade deadline.
Oh
I think
yeah.
they need to blow it up. I think Tim Anderson's going to be a Marlin, honestly. But like, I don't know. I mean, this team, it sounds like they can only go down from here, which is scary because they're all really bad right now.
Yeah, they have a really good rotation too. Like on paper, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, and Kopech. Like that's a really good 1, 2, 3. Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, Andrew Benintendi. That's a pretty solid 1, 2, 3 on the offense.
Hmm.
And they just have not done anything. I genuinely think they've given up They have Lance Lynn too, who's been really bad. Shout out World Baseball Classic Lance Lynn. Uh, I I think if they figure out their pitching, maybe they make a run because they have the pieces pitching wise. They have a really good rotation on paper. Again, just like the Cardinals, they have not lived up to expectations at all. But this is a really bad division. If they could start to get on a roll, these pitchers start to figure it out. I mean, maybe they make a run. I don't think it's going to happen. I think this team's given up. I think they sell too. They have a lot of pieces. I think, like you said, Tim Anderson's probably gone. He's already said he doesn't want to be there.
Mhm.
Luis Robert would probably get you a pretty decent amount if you end up wanting to move on from him. Giolito and Cease probably get you some top 5 prospects from any team. So they have the pieces to sell. I think they should. This team is cooked.
Yeah. Again, the White Sox are just really bad.
Yeah.
And
They
doing worse
they
than
get an
them,
F. They get an F. Gotta say them.
yeah, definitely enough. The last team, honestly, I could be saying way worse things about the Royals. They've won 18 games. They're 18 and 40, which is terrible. But this team also has some pieces which I think they can sell for good value right now. I mean, obviously they have Bobby Witt Jr., who they're not going to sell, but he hasn't been his father. I'll tell you that. Kind of disappointment. They have Salvador Perez, who's actually doing decent. He's still hitting like what 278 on the season. Still
270,
got
yeah,
12
280.
homers. So I think he's still. I think if this is the right time to trade him. Right now would be for me. They've got Aroldis Chapman in the
Yeah,
bullpen, who has been doing
he's gonna get you some
crazy,
pieces. He's probably gonna be the most
right?
coveted bullpen arm at the trade deadline.
They've got Taylor Clark, who's been really good in the back of the bullpen. Scott Barlow. I mean, this bullpen is actually decent, but they can't start. I mean, Jordan Lyles has 12 starts and has a 6.8 ERA. Brady
Pretty good.
Singer has 12 starts, a 6.4 ERA. Zach Greinke is your best starter, who Zach Greinke is 39 years old,
Yeah, if you told
and
me
he
that
is your
12 years
best
ago, I'd be
starter.
happy.
Yeah, I mean, they need to get some pitching for some of these bats. I think, again, looking at a team like the Marlins, because pitching is so hard to come by in all of baseball. So this is a team that really could. I think they could do a package deal with Perez and Chapman for like maybe two really like a current really good pitcher and a couple prospects that are good pitching wise. But again, they get a D minus for me because they've been bad, but they have some pieces they're doing okay. But as a team, I mean, this team just has no future. They need to trade and get some future back because their current players like Chapman and Perez are only going to go down after the season.
Yeah, and I mean Perez probably isn't gonna get you much. He is really old. He's
He's
producing, but
33 for a catcher.
yeah, for a catcher, he's pretty up
Yeah.
there. I mean, he'll probably still produce for a couple more years. I don't know what he's gonna get back. It's not going to be huge. I think the Aroldis Chapman's probably going to be their biggest piece. Like we said, bullpen arms you tend to overpay for at the trade deadline. It's going to be a bidding war for Aroldis Chapman, who's had a renaissance type year, finally figuring it out again. Who after it seems like he's been on like 8 teams in the last 4 years, but good for him for figuring it out. The jury's still out on Bobby Witt. We don't know if he's going to be the superstar that we all thought he was going to be. He's batting like 233 right now. Plays good defensively, but they're gonna build around him. If they wanted to, I don't think they'll sell him. He's probably gonna get you a good piece if you do. But
Mhm.
trading a prospect for a prospect, usually not how it goes. I think they should build around him. Brady Singer, he's got to be one of the biggest pitching disappointments in like recent history. He was a pretty high pick, was he not? Like 7 or 8?
Who Witt?
No, Brady Singer.
Brady Singer. I can look it up
Yeah,
in one
from
second. He,
so he
he
was
was second
18th.
round pick. He was second round pick. No, sorry, he was second round pick originally by the Blue
Yeah,
Jays. He was
he
the
was
18th
18th.
overall
Yeah.
pick by the Royals. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, 18th overall pick. He's got a 6 ERA. He hasn't been good in his career. The Royals are just. I think they just won the World Series and said, "Fuck it, we're out." Like they
Yeah.
they got their ring in 2016, and they've done quite literally nothing since then. I think they just got their ring. Everyone said, "Oh shit, we got our ring. Like we're done," and that's kind of where it's at. So the Royals will be in the basement with the Tigers for a long time coming.
Yeah, like you said, this team just decided, you know what? I'm out. All right, I'm out. So they haven't
Yeah,
really done anything
literally.
since then. Yeah, they really haven't done much since then. But I think that's it for our report cards. Do you want to talk about
Which
anything else for baseball?
the report cards for the next episode, I think are going to be quite good with both West divisions. It'll probably be, well, the AL East is good, but the NL West and the AL West are both pretty solid divisions right now, so should be better grades. I do want to talk about the Braves. They've had a weird kind of week or so. They lost a series to the A's, which
Mm-hmm.
don't know what happened there. And then they ended up coming back and beating the NL West leading D-backs. Gotta say,
You
we
just
led
wanted
the
to say
league.
that, didn't you? Yep.
We led the league for like a solid 4 days. And you taking anything away from their week with them losing to the A's and then beating the D-backs, or is it just kind of an anomaly that they lost to the A's?
I don't make much of it. I mean, Atlanta has been really good on the road. There's 20 wins on the road, which is interesting. But I don't really see anything for it. I think they're just going through this parts of the season. They had a very interesting incident with Marcell Ozuna. I thought he cranked a
Yeah,
home run and got a
I was
single,
gonna bring that one up.
and instead he gets kicked out of the game, rightfully so, for not hustling at the first. I think this team will be fine. I mean, it's just, weird summer stretch. I mean, I think the biggest thing they have to realize is they have to get up even for the worst teams. And they definitely get up for the Diamondbacks. I mean, they
Now
had that crazy.
they got up.
They got up for the grand slam that they hit in the ninth inning. I was very sad when I
Acuna,
saw that.
Acuna, I have to say also has now set the MLB record. His last 10 home runs have all been over 420 feet. His 10th one he hit was,
Jesus.
yeah, it's insane. He hit one 464 up onto the concourse.
Oh my God.
Crazy. They've been,
Yeah, the guy's
they
crazy.
showed up. But yeah, the Marcell
Yeah.
Ozuna, he pimped that thing too. Like it was 400, and he stood there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a pretty good vantage point from our season. It looked like it was going out. So I mean, I think he should have hustled no matter what. Obviously, I hate dudes.
You could have got a triple if you ran.
That
You could
one,
have got a triple
that's
if
an
you
easy
ran.
triple. Easy triple. He's standing on first, and it cost him a run, which ended up not coming back to bite them. But and then they optioned Mike Soroka back down to AAA today after his 2 starts with a 6 ERA. So they're in a really weird spot. I feel like that Mike Soroka was supposed to be a big part. Marcell Ozuna of the Braves, with a boneheaded play, just like his life, dumbass. But I was really hoping some Chance would start out, but I guess we don't have beef with the Braves enough. But
No, it's not a team you see often enough to worry about that.
I was kind of hoping there'd be some beef, but there wasn't. But the Braves had an interesting week. Got to give them a little credit for the series win. They have some pretty kind of shitty fans, gotta say. Fuck you, Braves.
You just need to get that in there.
I need to process the loss. The Diamondbacks Twitter didn't post the final score till like 9:00 last night and said we're still processing this too. Sorry.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. I think that's it though for major news that we got to. I mean, I'll break some up during my questions of the day actually for basketball, which I wanted to wait. But you got anything more for us today?
No, I think that's it.
No.
Well, I have my question of the day, but
yeah, go for it.
All right. So I heard this. This was on the Kelsey brothers have a podcast. I guess someone was talking about this, but they asked, you get 100 attempts in an Oklahoma drill against Derrick Henry. How many times are you taking it down? And this guy confidently said, I'm like 5'8", 160, and I could take him down 10 times. And I was like, you're fucking insane. But with both of us being pretty big dudes, I mean, you're over 6 foot. I'm almost 6'1". Yeah.
I wish I could say I'm over 6 foot. I'm 5'7", but okay.
Oh, shit, I thought you were taller than that. Never mind. But
nope, I just jump high in basketball. So
you're athletic and I'm big, so I wanted to ask the question: how many times out of 100 do you think you're tackling Derrick Henry in an Oklahoma drill?
2. I'm going 2. Like okay. This man I've seen his workouts, man. This guy is huge. Like even though I've been doing good about going to the gym and that kind of stuff, like I think I get him by the ankles once, and then I just catch him by the hips one time. Another, he's running me over the other 98 times. Like I think I catch him if he's tired. Like, but against Derrick Henry, this guy doesn't get tired. He gets stronger as the game goes on. So I'm gonna go confident 2. I also don't weigh that much, so I weigh 180. So I'm not taking this guy.
I looked it up. Me and him are almost the same size because he's 6'3", 240, and I mean I'm 6'2", 6'1", like around the same same weight. Like I feel like I
Hmm.
might have a chance to get him once or twice. I'm definitely getting an ankle tackle, but the first time he
Yeah,
puts me down, I'm not getting up. So like
true.
I'm
It's like, do you survive the
do
100
you
attempts?
survive?
Yeah,
I
that
guess
should have been the question.
I'm basing it off of you get up every time and you have energy the whole time. But like I feel like
Yeah,
I could get him once legitimately, maybe like a
yeah,
wrap up tackle, and the other one I'm getting, I'm just like diving at his legs.
yeah. I think the question should have been, do you survive
Do
100
you
attempts in an
survive?
Oklahoma drill against Derrick
I don't
Henry?
think
No,
I'm
for me.
surviving.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think I'm
think.
surviving 10. I think
I was
he
about to
hits
say,
me.
give me 20 and then I'm
Yeah,
done. I can't
I'm
move.
not getting up after 10.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, these NFL athletes,
Yeah,
like compared to their peers, are like judged, but compared to us normal people, like they're still like way better than us, like in every
oh,
aspect.
oh yeah. Well, the fact that this dude who was like 5'8", 160 had the audacity to say you could tackle him 10 times was like, you're on fucking crack, dude. There's not a chance.
Yeah, no way, no way. I wanted to bring up because Adam Silver, like you alluded to, did say yesterday that once the NBA TV deal is hashed out next spring, they're going to talk about expansion. And I wanted to ask you, what two cities would you want to see have a new NBA team? Now, it can't be places that had in the past. It can't be Seattle. Can't be
Damn.
Vancouver, the Grizzlies. What two new places do you want to see a city in? And give me your reasoning. And how would
So,
you like organize the conferences? Because there's got to be like a
yeah.
division realignment and like balance and all that kind of stuff.
So you're saying what I want or what I think is going to happen?
Where would you want to see it?
Okay.
What city would you want to see?
I absolutely think that Vegas is and should get one. They're gonna have three of the other major sports. You might as well give them a basketball team. We already know that. What's the camp that happens out there every year in Vegas?
The Summer League, the G League.
Yes, the summer league, G League, and stuff. That's already in Vegas. They're getting the A's. They already have the Raiders and the Knights. They're bound to get an NBA team at some point. I think everyone's expecting this announcement to probably be Las Vegas, and I'm absolutely okay with it. Vegas has been great for sports. So that would be in addition to the Western Conference.
Hmm.
Throwing one to the East, I think it should be Nashville. I like the Nashville idea. You have a team in Memphis, yeah. Memphis and Nashville are two pretty different places. You can
Hmm.
brand Nashville around the whole country. You know, they have the Predators, they have the Titans. They don't really have anything like country themed, though. They don't have a baseball team, which I kind of hope they get soon, too. I think Nashville's a good fit. I really don't want it to be Orlando. Like they're. Oh wait, no, that's the baseball team. Never mind.
Atlanta already has.
I was
I
like,
mean, you
yeah,
could
wait,
argue the Magic aren't a real basketball
they're not
team,
a real
but
basketball team, but yeah. I can't even think of like what like Louisville is probably an option. Um, don't really want to see it there. I think Nashville and Vegas are probably the two best
Mhm.
suited, unless they get. I hope they don't give it to a city that already has one. Like, please don't make another Chicago team. Like, we don't need two Chicago. We
Yeah,
don't need
I doubt with
another.
the history of the Bulls, you wouldn't do
Yeah, we
that.
don't need another New York team. We don't need like
No.
we don't give it something new. I think Nashville and Vegas are my two picks.
Okay. I've got I've got two different ones. I do agree with the Vegas pick. I do agree that I think Vegas will get one. But for who I want to see, give me St. Louis. Give me St. Louis getting a basketball team. They have the
I was gonna say
Cardinals.
Kansas City, so
Yeah, they've
kind of
got.
close.
Yeah, they don't have one in that Midwest. Like the
Yeah.
Chiefs are there. I was in Kansas City. You got the Royals. St. Louis. You've got the Cardinals already. You had the Rams for football, but give them a basketball team. I think just one in Kansas is great. Midwest, like you could. I don't know what division. Probably in the Western Conference, maybe, or what conference you throw them in. But I think that's a good team to have. Bring them in with Denver. Portland. That area will be good. And I'm going to throw a weird one out in Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati,
Interesting.
like, they have one major team in the Reds, right, for baseball. But because I'm trying to think of, like, if there's one already in the West in Vegas, you got to have one in the East. And if you don't put St. Louis in the East, what other town in the East needs one? Unless you want to put one in Tampa or Jacksonville, you want to make another Florida one.
No,
Like,
we don't need any more Florida teams.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know where else. You already got Charlotte for the Carolinas. 'Cause
Uh,
Charlotte's pretty much on the border of North and South Carolina, anyways. But you're not gonna put one in Norfolk, Virginia. Like, I mean, maybe like we said, Nashville would be good, but
like
I think
Baltimore.
maybe, but you already got Washington, which is already like
Uh,
DC. I know
yeah.
we're for football with the Ravens, but and the Commanders, but that's what I'm saying. I think basketball in Cincinnati would be interesting, and I think St. Louis deserves one. After the Rams left for football, I think either St. Louis or Kansas City. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Mahomes leads the charge for a basketball team in Kansas City. Like, that wouldn't surprise me either. But
Yeah.
I think one in that state, I think they deserve one,
Yeah.
Make the travel also easier between like Denver and Texas. And like, if you go like the northern side of the US, it's either Milwaukee and then you go all the way to Denver. There's nothing in the middle. So I think having a team in Kansas really helps out with that.
Yeah, I think the solid options. I think Vegas is definitely a lock, but an Eastern team, there's a couple of places that could be good.
Yeah. But I think that's it for the Jordan episode 23. We've covered as much as we could about the finals and the Stanley Cup. And we will see game 3 and 4 in the finals before we record, maybe even game 5, depending when we get to it.
Yeah.
And we'll have games 2, 3, and 4 for sure for the Stanley Cup. No NFL news, but we will wrap up our report cards for baseball, and we will get soon because it opened up last week into our All Star ballot because the All Star voting did
Oh
start.
yeah, I've already
I,
voted. I put my ballots in.
I got to put mine in still for who goes to Seattle to represent the National League, American League. Thinking 2 Marlins. I think are going to make it. I think it's a Rise and Soler, at least for the Marlins. But we'll get into that later on.
I think there's going to be quite a few Diamondbacks going, but might be
Yeah,
biased a bit.
we'll see. But unless you got anything else to add, Taylor, I think that's it.
Well, we did. This just in from ESPN. Colts Isaiah Rogers identified as player being investigated for possible violations of league gambling policy. We
I
talked about
did
it a
see that
couple weeks
somebody
ago,
was.
and
Hmm.
here we go again. I feel like it's 3 weeks in a row someone's gotten caught gambling. I'll be honest. I don't know who Isaiah Rogers is. It
He's a
sounds.
backup receiver, I
I was gonna
think.
say it sounds vaguely familiar, but another guy caught gambling. Um, Maybe we'll have some gambling news next week for what comes out of this because they were doing an investigation into a couple of people, so this might not be the only one. But hey, maybe it's a topic for football next week.
Yeah, Calvin really wasn't the only one. Who knows?
Yeah, he was. Calvin Ridley walked so all these guys could run.
Exactly. But until episode 24 coming at you next week, I'm Alex,
I'm Taylor.
and we will see you in the next one.